Right there, and the glasses. Okay. Okay. Test 1, 2, 3. Okay, testing the microphones right now. 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, testing. Okay. Can I practice my intro? Okay. Okay. Welcome to IndianaHighSchoolSports.net here at Fat Dan's Deli in Carmel, and we would like to take a moment to thank our sponsors over at Weston Cleaners, Ray Skillman Northeast Key on Shadeland Avenue, and Dave Huber, certified pre-owner. And right now we are here with Coach. Okay, let's go. Welcome to Indiana High School Sports Network. School Sports Network here at Fat Dan's Deli in Carmel, and we would like to take a moment to thank our sponsors from Weston Cleaners, Ray Skillman Northeast Key on Shadeland Avenue, and Dave Hubler, certified pre-owner. Okay.
Once again, this is a test.
Okay.
This test will begin at 7 o'clock.
Okay. Okay. Hey, this is just a test. Show coming on at 7 o'clock. This is just a test. Indiana High School Sports Network, and we are here with the girls basketball preview show. And my name is Grace Worcester, and we are live from Fat Dan's Deli in Carmel. And I would like to take a moment to thank our sponsors from Ray Skillman Northeast Keon on Shadeland Avenue, Dave Hubler Certified Pre-Owned, and Weston Cleaners. And I am live right now with Lauren Votaw. And Coach, how are you today?
I'm doing very well, thanks, Grace.
Yes, of course. Thank you for coming on the show today. And so you guys scrimmaged Pendleton Heights last week, and you're starting off with a pretty young team this season. So how do you think that your team will go forward being so young?
I think this team's going to grow a lot as the season goes on. When you have as very little varsity experience as what we have, I think the growth is going to be very exciting to see. And we obviously have a lot to learn, but I think we have very good building blocks.
Yeah, and how important are those goals for such a short-term goals for such a young team, do you think?
They are very important. And actually the team just started today with making goals for each practice. I think they recognize that short-term goals are really important too, and so they're trying to do that as well.
Yeah, and what will your team do this season with its strengths and its challenges? How do you think it will go forward with, again, being so young and during COVID times? How do you see your team playing out with that?
Well, we're going to need to rely heavily, I think, on the leadership of Haley and Olivia Smith, our two returning varsity letter winners who played significant varsity minutes. We're going to need to rely on their leadership. But we're going to have other people step up too, as far as leadership goes, just remaining calm because the road is rocky and our schedule is very difficult, as is everyone's in this area. And so just, having
been canceled, especially with last season, and then being so young and not getting used to all that playing time, how do you think they're handling that?
I think they're doing really well. This year has been very normal as far as basketball goes. I think the biggest adjustment that our kids are having to make right now is adjusting to being in school all day and then coming to practice, because last year they were virtual, and so just the mental drain of being at school all day and trying to keep up with the rigor of that, I think, has been an adjustment.
Yeah, and what is the routine of your practices? How do they go from start to finish, and how do you get those players adjusted from spending a whole day at school and then all of a sudden jumping into a hard and aggressive practice schedule?
So we typically start off with some form of, motivational story, poem. We do either film or we do some just team group stuff.
Yeah.
And then we just, we hop right into our shooting fundamentals, and the players know that that's their time to get locked in. And then I try to mix up my practice plan a little bit. I don't like to do the same thing, the same order, because I believe it's good for the players to have to adjust to what we're doing. But they do a good job. Most of them are in weights class prior to practice, and so they come straight from there. They have to eat a little snack and then go right into practice. So most of them are in the practice mindset when we get there.
Right, yeah, and what most coaches, it seems kind of like a thing of putting their 5 goals on the top of a whiteboard. What would your 5 goals be for your team?
Oh my, that's a tough question. We haven't done that. I think honestly for me, this, what we're focusing on right now is we talked on Monday about consistency versus intensity and the difference between the two. And so really focusing right now on that consistency so I would say 1 is consistency in communication. 2 is consistency in the type of teammates that we are. So good or bad, making sure that we're still being great teammates and still lifting one another up. Consistency in that communication on the floor. And then I think, making the goal of getting better every day. We say at the end of every practice, the players have to write in their notebook, everything that happens to me today is an opportunity to learn and grow. And so really focusing on that idea of trying to learn and grow every day.
Right, and it kind of goes along, I guess, with my next question of what is something that you would teach your team besides basketball?
Well, so I picked this up from the UCLA coach Corey Close. During COVID, actually, I was listening to a podcast, and she has her players say and write every day, basketball is what I do, basketball is not who I am. And so we spend a lot of time talking about who you are outside of the game of basketball. And so I think the biggest thing that I would want them to take away is that they are more than a basketball player. I think it's really easy for teenagers, especially today, with social media. It's so easy to get engulfed in, this offer or this stat or this tweet about me. And so really trying to remind them that they're more than that. And I think, the idea of giving back. And this crew that I have right now is doing a phenomenal job of being involved with our youth players and teaching, just trying to instill in them the idea of doing something for people that can never repay you. We actually talked about this today and how, when those little kids come and watch them, that's something that those kids will never forget, even though it was, an hour of their time. So I think if I could instill anything, it would be that idea that their identity is not rooted in who they are as a basketball player.
Right, and speaking of those young players coming in, what do you want to teach those players that are trying out for your team, who Fisher's basketball is and who your team is? Because I know they can get wrapped up in trying out and just being the best player, but having those leadership skills from the older girls on the team, teaching them, what do you want to teach those young players coming in and trying out and telling them, what do you want to tell them who Fisher's is?
So that's a really good question, and I think this year, we have 27 players on our roster, and 16 of them are freshmen, and so we are very much in that state right now where we're trying to establish who we are as a program again. But I think the same principles ring true as Michael Gaines started the program 15 years ago, this idea of servant leadership. And so that's really what I want them to embrace, is this idea of, you're a part of something bigger, and if you come in and do the little things right and be a great teammate and be willing to serve others and put others first, the good things will follow.
Right, and then this upcoming Saturday, you have 2 games versus Center Grove and Ben Davis, and I know you're training your team really, really hard. And what can we expect from you guys this next Saturday and just this upcoming season?
So I believe we are going to be very quick. We do have a lot of athleticism and team speed, and we are going to have to use that to our advantage, especially on the defensive end of the floor. And so against Center Grove, Center Grove is always a very well-coached, disciplined basketball team that sets lots of screens, and so we're going to have to be prepared to make sure we're talking through that stuff, and then just the season in general. I think utilizing our strengths, and really that's my job as a coach, is to figure out what are my players' strengths and how do I help them to see their strengths, and then how do we put those strengths together, and that's the joy of coaching, I guess.
Right, and again with your team being majority freshmen, how is it a change from last season? Are you looking at last season at all, or just how is it different for you?
Well, it's very different.
Yeah.
So we graduated Katie Burton, who's the leading scorer in school history, boys or girls. She was an Indiana All-Star playing at St. John's. Graduated Audra Emerson, who's now at Purdue-Fort Wayne. 2 guards with extreme experience. And with them, we have a 3rd guard who actually was very talented as well. And so I went from having these 3 guards that knew what to expect and knew what varsity basketball was like to really now I have Haley and Olivia Smith who have played under these people but have never been the ones. And so it is very different. Drills that I never thought I would have to teach again, I'm teaching again, and things that I never thought I would have to remind about again, I'm reminding about again. And so it's kind of like it is, going back to the basics, but it's been really good because it's been really good for me to kind of refresh what is important and what I want them to know.
Yep, and just one last question. What is something that the fans should look forward to this season?
Oh, I think my team will bring energy and we will be fun. They play with a lot of passion. They love the game of basketball. And so I think that passion will come through for anyone who comes to watch us play.
Right, yeah. Well, and thank you so much, Coach, for joining us today. And we will be back in IndianaHighSchoolSports.net, and we will see you soon.
Looking for a premier first-class dry cleaner? Then look no further than Weston Cleaners off 106th Street and North Michigan Road in Carmel. Weston Cleaners offers convenient, free home pickup and delivery service. No extra charge, and you don't need to be home. At Weston Cleaners, your satisfaction is guaranteed. Leave your dry cleaning to Weston Cleaners, located in the Weston Shops at 106th Street and North Michigan Road in Carmel.
Universal Roofing and Exteriors is a family-owned and operated business, providing care and honest service for over 30 years. Universal has always been a little bit different. Their certified and trained employees don't just provide excellent work at a fair low price. They care about their customers, helping them through the insurance process, following up after the project is done, simply providing great customer service. Quality, honesty, dependability. That's Universal Roofing and Exteriors.
Welcome back to Indiana High School Girls Basketball Preview Show. My name is Grace Worcester, and we are live here at Fat Dan's Deli in Carmel. And I would like to take a moment to thank our sponsors from Weston Cleaners, Ray Skillman off Northeast Keon Shadeland Avenue, and Dave Hubler, certified pre-owned. And tonight we are live here with Coach Annie McGuire from Scienceville. And Coach, how are you today?
Great, Grace. Thanks for having us. We're we're really excited about this.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. And you guys had a big win last night against the Addicts, beat them 68-16, and every player is returning on your team from last year except one. So what is that kind of advantage? What kind of advantage will that bring to Zionsville?
Yeah, I feel like we're way ahead of where we were last year, having a year experience. We still are young. We're mostly sophomores and juniors. And we, like you said, we lost Katie Richardson to Miami of Ohio, and she's doing well there. But we were together a lot this summer, and it just was a lot quicker. We could put things in quicker. Everybody understands what our goals are, and we feel really good about where we are right now.
Yeah, and Layla Hull averaged nearly 18 points per game last year, shot 47%, averaged 8 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 steals per game. And what are your expectations of her this next upcoming season?
Yeah, Layla is just getting started. I mean, she's so athletic and just a really dynamic player. I expect all those things to be better this year. I think she had 18 points last night. That was a kind of a difficult game. We played a lot of players. You could see the margin of victory was pretty big. So she didn't play much in the second half, but she's going to have some really good games this year. We play a tough schedule, and we're counting on her to be our leader.
Yeah, and who are some other players that we can look out for this season?
Yeah, we have 2 seniors that I think are going to play a good role for us. Maya Childress started last night. Will start most of our games this season. Maya's not a scorer really. She's a defensive player. And then we have Erica Boswick, who was out all last year because of an ACL tear. So she's back. So those 2, having them as our senior leaders has been really good. And Layla's a junior. Mallory Hurt started all last season for us. She's a 6-foot post player, so she's back. And then we're kind of loaded with sophomores. We will play Allie Caldwell, was a double-figure scorer for us last year. Emma Hahn was a double-figure scorer for us last year. They're both sophomore guards. Faith Leedy was another sophomore guard who started for us at the beginning last year, had some injuries, and then came back later in the season. So those are 3 really solid guards. And then we join, there are 2 sophomore centers that are twins, the Payline sisters, Isabel and Soph, and they're 6'1", so those 2 joining that group makes us have a lot of depth, and we're really looking forward to that.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of talent in the Hoosier Heartland Conference, and can you talk about the conference itself and how girls basketball has transformed over the last 5 years?
I think our conference is one of the best in the state. I know the MIC is a really strong conference, but I was looking at the preseason rankings, and our sectional, for example, with Carmel, Fishers, us, Noblesville, Westfield, all 6 teams were in the top 20. So, that just shows you how deep it is. And in our conference, it's very similar. There's not a weak team in the conference. And that helps us prepare for the tournament. And we look at that as a positive, but it also makes it tough to get through that season. You're not going to go unscathed. You're probably going to lose one here or there. But it's really fun, and just like having Lauren on earlier, Lawrence and Fishers, we have a lot of really good coaches in girls basketball now. I would say this is my 34th year of coaching, but 23rd in girls basketball, and the level of coaching just continues to get better and better.
Yeah, and with this being such a tough conference again, what do you think will be your biggest challenge throughout the season?
Every game will be, but last year kind of Noblesville was the team that we really just couldn't quite get by. Ashlyn Shade is just a superior player. I think they're probably the best team in the conference, the team that everybody's looking to beat. But Fishers, Westfield, HSE are going to be really, really strong. So there's just a lot of competition there, and then when you get in the tournament, every game's really tough.
Yeah, and then kind of on the flip side of that, what do you think will be your team's greatest advantage throughout the season, or just something that you guys will be definitely really successful at?
Yeah, I think if you look at our size, we have, on our varsity, we really have 5 kids that are 6 foot or taller, and a lot of girls basketball teams don't have that. So
right.
Rebounding is one of our strengths, and a lot of good things start with a rebound. We can get a good outlet and a quick up the floor. So I think rebounding's an advantage. We're also a really good shooting team. I'm disappointed when our team shoots under 45% during the game, and free throw wise, we're a 75 to 80% free throw shooting team. So I think those are our two biggest strengths. Our defense is solid, but I think that's an area where we need to get a little better.
Right, and coming up this year, and especially during COVID times, and I know last year the season was kind of all over the place with practices being canceled and games being canceled or delayed. How do you think your team will react this season with COVID? How have they been so far with being now in school full-time and then coming to a practice after school?
Yeah, I think being in school full-time has been a little difficult, actually. That last year was in some ways fairly easy for them, especially academically, I think. In Zionsville, really stresses academics, but not being there full time, I know that their classes weren't quite as strenuous as they normally would have been. So there's been an adjustment there, but I think with the COVID and wearing masks and all the protocols, I think they've just kind of gotten used to it. They probably handle it better than we do as coaches. And it's just part of their life now, and I don't see that being a big problem this season. We were lucky last year. We really only had one game that was impacted, so we went through last season really well.
Yeah, and also along with COVID, but also just your strengths this season, how do you see the season going? Where do you see your team, their mindset going, and your mindset and staff?
We spend a lot of time with team building. We do 20 minutes of team building, probably 3 or 4 times a week, and I think that's a really valuable thing. And so I feel really good about this team. I think they're really bonded. I think they understand each other. They know each other really well. And I'm really, we were 15-6 last year. I'm really expecting us to be better than that this year, even though we're playing a really tough schedule. So, the wins and losses, though, overall, we always tell the kids we're just looking for improvement all year long.
Right.
And as long as we feel like we're growing and improving, we're going to do some good things.
Yeah, and speaking of improving, what is your key to success for this season?
Our key, I always say, is staying healthy. That helps, right? So we went through last season with really no health issues whatsoever, and that made it nice. But I think our key, we talk all the time that really we feel like the only team that can beat Zionsville is Zionsville. Mm-hmm. So when we follow our rules and we stay steady and what we want to do offensively and defensively, we feel good going into any game. So as long as we just keep doing what we believe, I think we're going to be put ourselves in a real good position to win a lot of games.
Yeah, and what do you hope for your team throughout these next couple games? I know it's going to be, you had a big win last night and your team is coming off that. How practice has been going, and just what do you think going forward, like your team's mindset?
Yeah, our schedule's going to get a lot tougher pretty quick here. We play Lawrence Central on Saturday, a team we've never played before, so that's going to be interesting. We're going to also it's weird, we're doing our senior day early this year. Just never know with things right. The way they are. So that always brings a little element of, nervousness and some surprise there. But I look forward to these next couple of weeks. We got Lawrence North coming up, and we have Carmel coming up. So we have some really challenging games that will help us get better.
Right, and well, thank you so much, Coach, for joining us
Grace,
today.
I appreciate it.
And we will see you soon on IndianaHighSchoolSports.net.
Universal Roofing and Exteriors is a family-owned and operated business, providing care and honest service for over 30 years. Universal has always been a little bit different. Their certified and trained employees don't just provide excellent work at a fair low price. They care about their customers, helping them through the insurance process, following up after the project is done, simply providing great customer service. Quality, honesty, dependability. That's Universal Roofing and Exteriors.
Looking for a premier first-class dry cleaner? Then look no further than Weston Cleaners off 106th Street and North Michigan Road in Carmel. Weston Cleaners offers convenient, free home pickup and delivery service. No extra charge, and you don't need to be home. At Weston Cleaners, your satisfaction is guaranteed. Leave your dry cleaning to Weston Cleaners, located in the Weston Shops at 106th Street and North Michigan Road in Carmel.
Welcome to the Indiana High School Girls Basketball Preview Show. My name is Grace Worcester, and we are live here at Fat Dan's Deli in Carmel. And I would like to take a moment to thank our sponsors over at Weston Cleaners, Ray Skillman Northeast Keon on Shadeland Avenue, and Dave Hubler Certified Pre-Owned. And we are currently live with Coach Shay Mitchell from Warren Central. And Coach, how are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming on the show. And last night you guys had a big win against Brownsburg, 48-31. What are your initial thoughts starting off?
I thought we played well last night. I thought the energy was good. The girls were excited to get on the court. We've been doing our fall workouts, two days a week with the ball, 3 days if you're going to do an additional day, and that one can't be with the ball. So they were really excited to get on the court and stop playing and practicing against one another.
Right, and so I know that you're a teacher at the high school, and so what is it like now coming back, especially from COVID last year, of classes being in the classroom, out of the classroom so quickly, and with practices and games being canceled all the time? What is your perspective now of teaching and then now going into practice?
I tell you what, it's more like normal, because last year with the COVID protocols, especially early on, we would be there teaching and the kids would be at home remotely. And then we would have practice. They would come in at like 2:45 and we'd have practice. So we would only see our kids at practice or when we went to games. Now they're coming to school regular day. And of course, we're following COVID protocols with masks and social distancing. And it's more like normal. It's more like what we were before COVID-19.
Right, and can you also talk about just your overall passion for basketball? You've coached for a very long time, and I understand that you went to Malaysia to coach too.
Yes,
and can you talk about just your passion for basketball and what got you here?
Oh man, I fell in love with basketball at a very young age. My father played, my uncles played, my grandmother played, and I fell in love with it. And it was something that we played. Being from Tennessee, we just played in the backyard on dirt courts and at the park. And I've always just really enjoyed the game. The game has been so good to me. Being able to go to college, play in college, get a college education, and just to meet some really, really good friends, not only in high school and in college. And it's just it's a sport that if you do it right, both on the court and off the court, you can make some lifelong friends.
Right. Yeah, and what's something that you would teach your players besides basketball? Because, again, I know that teaching is your passion, as you were explaining, and coaching in general. Just what is something that you would teach your players?
What we talk about all the time is, get the most out of whatever it is you want to do. You know what I mean? If you want to, be an engineer, you want to be a doctor, you want to own your own business or whatever, get the most out of it. You know what I'm saying? Really, truly strive to be your best. And when you can look back on your life or look back over your experiences, you can say that you did the best you could do and you tried to achieve your goals.
Yeah, and on the flip side of that, what have your players so far? I know the season is just starting, and in last season too, or even just over your years of coaching, what is something that your players have taught you?
I tell you what, they taught me that they're very resilient. I think with COVID the last couple of years. As adults, we think about all the things sometimes to worry about. Right. And sometimes with the youngsters, they don't have as much fear or worry. And it kind of makes you go, wow, even though things were a little dangerous there for a while, sometimes it wasn't really that bad. And it kind of helped me put a bright light to it. Right. So, it kind of gave me a lot of positive energy.
Yeah. And what do you think is going to be your team's greatest advantage going forward for this season?
Our greatest advantage? I tell you what, we talk about playing together. We talk about, everyone having input into the game. We have this thing we say, hey, we don't need any mascots on the team. We need players. We need everybody that wants to play and, have some input on it. So I think our greatest advantage would be us, us playing together. Our team motto is team together. So that's what we believe in. I think that'd be our greatest advantage.
Yeah, and who are some players do you think we should watch this season?
Oh, man. Senior, Liaise Ellington, we call her Liaise. Another senior of ours, Denisha Knowles. Davia Taylor, senior. And then we got some really, really good juniors. Sanaa Thomas, Asia Baxter, Imani Benson. Then we have one more senior who just came to us this year. She actually came back home. Her name is Mary Porter. So those are some really good players that we should look out for.
Yeah, and speaking of Asia Baxter, what type of growth do you think we should expect from her this season?
Just continue good leadership, continue being a really good teammate. You know what I mean? To continue being somebody that one of many on our teams that we can count on.
Right. Yeah, and also speaking of Mary Porter, as you were saying, 6'1" senior. She's new to the team, and could you talk a little bit about her role and her fit on the team?
Mary's going to play the inside position for us. She's going to play our 5 position. Playing good defense, boxing out, rebounding, scoring when we get the ball to her. She's a really, really good person, great in the locker room, great in the classroom as well. So just another part of our whole team together idea and motto.
Right. And what is something that you will see as a challenge throughout this season?
A challenge? That's a good question. Basketball-wise, just like anyone else, being able to play well on nights when you're maybe not shooting the ball well, being able to defend and rebound, those things of that nature. So it's really, those are the things. Because one thing about basketball, some nights you may not shoot the ball well, but you want to be able to do other things well, like defend, box out, and rebound. Because if you play really good defense, you can take that on the road with you. So good defense, on nights when you're not shooting the ball well.
Right. And what do you think the key to a successful season is?
Staying healthy. Okay. Team camaraderie and playing together.
Yep, and especially, again, during COVID times, how do you keep your team motivated? Because I know it can get, again, kind of hard going from the classroom and then straight to a hard practice, and then you have games on the weekends. Just how do you keep them motivated, and what do your seniors do to help lead the team in that way?
I tell you what, we got a really good group of seniors. They're very pleasant. A lot of their teammates really, really like them. There's one other senior I forgot to mention, Raquel Jordan. They really, really like them. And our girls, they enjoy coming to practice. They enjoy being around one another. So as far as doing things to motivate them, when it comes to that, they enjoy each other. We don't have to do much to get them ready to play. We don't have to do much to get them ready to come to practice. They like being around one another.
Yeah.
So I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah, and they've also been together for a long time. So, what do you think your favorite moment is with this team? Or it could be this season, or it could be last season. Just something, especially with this group of seniors, that's your favorite moment.
This group of seniors, okay. With this group of seniors, there's one of them, Liaise Ellington. Okay, she's number 14 for us. When I took the job at Warren Central 6 years ago, we had our very first spring workout. And Liaise, at the time, if I'm not mistaken, may have been in the 5th or 6th grade. She came to our first workout with us. She was at our first workout. So she was at the workout with the high school girls in the spring working out with us. So Liaise technically has been at Warren as long as I have. Because she would always come work out with us. When she was in middle school, she would come work out in the spring, over Christmas break, and in the summer. Yeah. So she's been in that gym just as long as I have.
I know, that's really cool. And what would you say to your seniors, especially with this obviously being their last season and just going forward? What would be some advice that you'd give them, or even advice going into this upcoming season?
Just continue to be the best you can be the best version of yourself. Don't leave anything on the table. You know what I mean? You always want to give your best. And however the season shake out, you can always look back and say, you gave your best. Because when you've given your best, you have nothing to be ashamed of if you were to fall short of any goals that you may have.
Yep. And you guys play Mount Vernon on Saturday, and what can we expect from you guys?
Mount Vernon, very good team. They have I think a sophomore girl who's really, really good. I think she's ranked in the top 10 in her class. We're going to play really, really tough defense. We're going to contest all shots. We're going to box out. We're going to try to push the pace. We're going to be very aggressive on offense. We're going to play together basketball.
Well, it's good to hear, and thank you so much, Coach, for coming on today.
Thank you for
and we will be back next with IndianaHighSchoolSports.net.
All right. Thank you.
Universal Roofing and Exteriors is a family-owned and operated business, providing care and honest service for over 30 years. Universal has always been a little bit different. Their certified and trained employees don't just provide excellent work at a fair low price. They care about their customers, helping them through the insurance process, following up after the project is done, simply providing great customer service. Quality, honesty, dependability. That's Universal Roofing and Exteriors.
Looking for a premier first-class dry cleaner? Then look no further than Weston Cleaners off 106th Street and North Michigan Road in Carmel. Weston Cleaners offers convenient, free home pickup and delivery service. No extra charge, and you don't need to be home. At Weston Cleaners, your satisfaction is guaranteed. Leave your dry cleaning to Weston Cleaners, located in the Weston Shops at 106th Street and North Michigan Road in Carmel.
Universal Roofing and Exteriors is a family-owned and operated business, providing care and honest service for over 30 years. Universal has always been a little bit different. Their certified and trained employees don't just provide excellent work at a fair low price. They care about their customers, helping them through the insurance process, following up after the project is done, simply providing great customer service. Quality, honesty, dependability. That's Universal Roofing and Exteriors.
Welcome back to the Indiana High School Girls Basketball Preview Show. My name is Grace Swister, and we are live at Fat Dan's Deli in Carmel. And I would like to take a moment to thank our sponsors at Weston Cleaners, Ray Skillman, Northeast Keon on Shadeland Avenue, and Dave Hubler Certified Pre-Owned. And we are live right now with Deanne Ramey from North Central High School. And Coach, how are you today?
I'm doing great to be here.
Yeah, thank you for coming on the show. And you had a big win last night against Westfield, 65-49, outscoring the Shamrocks 43-24 in the second half. And Coach, what are your initial thoughts of last night?
It's always good to get that first game out of the way, that first game jitters. Westfield's got a great team. Alyssa Crockett is a great player, but ultimately I think once we put on our full court pressure, it kind of wore them out a little bit, and then we were able to take over in the fourth quarter and get some turnovers.
Yeah, and so far, how do you think this season is going to go? Just goals for the season, and just how you think your team, right, how things will play out?
You know what? I think we've got a great team. I've got led by 4 seniors. Danielle Welch is returning. She was an Indiana Junior All-Star. She's led our team in scoring the last 2 years, so it's great to have her back. Destiny Hooks is another senior of ours that can score from outside, kind of crafty with the ball, and she returns. Our point guard, Mackenzie Carroll, a defensive spider bug all over the court. Defensively she helps us out so much. And then Samara Douglas is kind of holding her own and filling us out a little bit for underneath the basket right now. But we've got a long way to go and a lot to learn. We don't have the our feeder system isn't as productive as some of the township schools like Hamilton County, Westfield, and Zionsville, and so it takes us a little bit longer. But I think from the first game to game 22, you see a great improvement, and that's always exciting.
Yeah, and speaking of the feeder schools, what do you expect to see from those that are trying out, and just how does the recruitment process work for you?
Well, we have our middle schools, and we work through those, and then IGHL, and we try to get with our coaches and that. But it's difficult because the young kids. I'm a proponent of multi-sport athletes, and so I encourage all of our kids, especially at the young ages, to play soccer, to play softball. You don't know what's going to happen in a couple of years, so it's kind of hard when they are playing multi-sport athletes, Yeah,
and also you've been coaching for a long time, so what kind of advantage do you think that gives you and your team?
Well, I think just the experience, going through a state championship, and playing in the state championship. And then I've got an unbelievable staff. Coach Bass, she was the Indiana All-Star, and then she's coached at the collegiate level, junior college. Kendall Kreinhagen is another assistant of mine who won 2 state championships at Brebeuf 3A. And then we just added Amber Harris, which has been a tremendous addition because she was a 2-time state championship at North Central, played at Xavier, and then was a 2-time national championship at the Minnesota Lynx in the WNBA. So, I mean, the staff that I have put together is just, our girls need to feel blessed, and they're a tremendous help.
Yeah, and along with that, what is something that you teach your players besides basketball, something that you want them to take away with them as soon as they leave the court?
First of all, to be good people. Good people, high character, integrity. I've got, I hire an academic coach to help out so that they, watch our girls' grades. I watch them too, but then he's always kind of my backup. And then also, if they're getting, we really don't have any problems. But if they were to have some problems in the classroom, and just, being able to take those life lessons and apply them, discipline, being on time, some of those little things right now that, is a struggle for this generation, it thinks, and, it's not going to happen for them later on in life. So, but, don't burn your bridges. You never know who's going to be able to help you, later on. So, treat everybody with respect.
Right, and with those seniors, and I'm sure they want to teach the underclassmen that and those morals and values, what is something that you've seen that you like a lot about the leadership of the seniors? How are they carrying themselves, and do you think they're helping the underclassmen a lot, and just with the dynamic of the team?
Yeah, I think absolutely. We've got a lot of new players and, a lot of younger players, and just being able to encourage them and set that example. We've got 2 juniors in Ava Couch and Trinity Archie that are doing a great job and in that as well. So I've got, really 6 returning players that have a wealth of experience in our program that are setting the expectations and just doing a great job.
Yeah, and also, can you also talk a little bit about players to watch this season, just who to look out for and who you think will do a really, really good job in terms of growth?
You mean players we play against or my
on your
players?
team, yes.
Oh, well, I think obviously, Danielle Welch is, I think she's a highly underrated player. She's one that's, in the last 3 years, we've been ranked in the top top 5. Last year we were ranked number 1 for a while. She was our second leading scorer her freshman year. Her sophomore and junior year, she was our leading scorer with a wealth of talent that left. And, this year she will be our leading scorer. And I think she doesn't get the respect that she deserves being on such a talented team. I graduated Meg Newman, who went to Arizona State. I graduated Nakai Hunter, who's at IUPUI. I graduated Dynasty Witherspoon, who is now playing at Daytona State. And, so she's been playing with a lot of great players and performing extremely well. And I think she's just underrated.
Yeah, and speaking of Megan Newman, how does her loss of the team affect you guys?
Well, we lost a lot of height, and obviously she was a go-to person, but she was, 6'2". Nakai was 6'1". Dynasty was 6'4". So, we're having to struggle and find out who's going to take on that rebounding role, because rebounding, we know you got to control the boards. And, that's where, again, Danielle has been, our second leading rebounder. And she is just such a competitor that she's hard to stop. But that's the piece right now that we're struggling with some new players, trying to find some positions underneath the basket to hold down that rebounding load.
Right. Yeah, and can you also talk a little bit about how the AAU has impacted girls basketball?
Well, I think, it's good for the girls to be able to play and have an opportunity to play year-round and, work on their game. Sometimes I think, and obviously for exposure.
Right.
So, the way it's set up right now, to me, the main part of AAU is for exposure. And, as far as, a lot of bad habits. And, we always have to take a step back and work on some things that, they accumulate in AAU because AAU tends to be more individualized. Everybody's trying to get their points and, perform for the coaches, whereas we got to reel it back in and make them more of a team-oriented player.
Right.
And sometimes that's difficult.
Yeah. And if you could also talk a little bit about the MIC and where you think the conference ranks in the state.
Top. The mid-conference is one of the top. Now, I will say Hamilton County right here, it is right up there with us this year. We kind of teeter back and forth, but you look at Warren Central, LN, and us in the state championships. I mean, somebody from our sectional. So in our sectional is Lawrence Central, Lawrence North, Warren Central, North Central. Somebody from that sectional has been in the final game of the state finals. So it's tough, and almost all of those are in the MIC.
Right.
Minus Center Grove and Carmel, and then Carmel goes the other way. So it's a tough conference, but I love competition. I don't care about our record. We always want to win. Don't get me wrong. We want to win, but I care about what happens at the end and how we're prepared for going into the tournament.
Right, and with being in such a tough conference, how do you think your girls will handle the pressure going forward this season?
I think they're used to it because, the last 3 years we've played the number 1 ranked schedule in the state.
Right.
So, so we don't shy away from that competition. And I try to impress upon the girls that, ultimately it's to prepare us for the tournament. And then as players, a lot of our players want to go on and play at the next level. So, I mean, they need to be able to play against tough competition to get them ready.
Yeah, and to get girls on your team like that are able to be confident enough to face that tough competition, what is the recruiting process like for your team in terms of them trying out and what you expect from those younger girls and those freshmen and sophomores that want to be on your varsity team?
Commitment and loyalty. I'm an educator, and one of the things, that I think we're going in, to be honest, I think we're going in the wrong direction because, again, I'm an educator. I'm supposed to teach the girls and develop the girls, and right now I think we're getting away from more like maybe what the boys or the collegiate route has been going.
Right.
Because, everybody's now trying to get players, recruit players in to get a winning team. And, I've been in this game a long time, and, I'm more of an educator. I want to develop, so I want you to want to be at North Central. I want you to have loyalty to North Central and to our program and to work hard and know that you're going to be coached in the right way, and we're going to help to develop you in the right way.
Yeah, and especially with you being an educator that you were saying, what is the biggest lesson that you want your players to take away after being coached by you?
Well, I think that, again, just to have a good heart.
Yeah.
I mean, just be a good person. Enjoy life. Life's too short not to be happy. I think sometimes our girls, it's so hard for them to, I'm saying, I want to see that passion out there.
Right.
I want to see that smile. I want us to work hard, but I want us to see them enjoy them because sometimes they're just so straight-faced and they're worried about making a mistake. I mean, it's a basketball game.
Right.
So, to enjoy life and, be a good person.
Yeah. And on the flip side of that, what is something that your players have taught you?
Oh gosh, patience. Patience. It's been interesting because I've been in it so long, the difference in the generations and, needing to change. I'm old school. So, we laugh about it all the time, but, just being patient and understanding their environment and their stories and their journeys and what makes me the happiest is 10 years from now when somebody comes back and or calls me up or says, hey coach, or gives me a phone call. I was the head coach at Richmond in 97, and one of my players, well, I left in 97, so from 90 to 97, I was the head coach in Richmond. And one of my players during that time called me, and her son plays on South Carolina's football team.
Okay.
And she called me, and Coach, I need you to come watch my son. I just need you to come watch my son. I got on a plane, went and watched him play, and to see her and her family, and that's what and how great they were, and that's what I want to see from my players.
Right. And tying back from your years of experience in coaching, what has been your favorite memory either with this group of girls from this year or this past season?
Probably winning last year. Right now, this year's too early.
Yeah.
But probably last year, winning Marion County during COVID. Because to be able, I'm a big team builder, so we do a retreat every year, and we team build, and we weren't able to do that during COVID. And then the kids, it did become more like AAU in some respects because the kids were driving themselves we weren't even taking bus trips together. And so to be able to come together and to perform at that level and win Marion County and then win sectionals, what was
big deal.
Yeah, a big deal.
Yeah.
A big deal.
Yeah, and going along too with COVID, how has your team been able to adjust from last season into this season with practices being canceled and games being canceled? Because I know it was definitely tough last season, especially being in and out of school. Just how are you adjusting to that, your team, just because it's new to everybody and it's been an ongoing thing?
Yep. Appreciation for the game, being able to, last night, there was a great crowd last night, and that was the first time that our girls have been playing in front of a crowd.
Yeah.
And they deserve that. They work so hard and they deserve that. So just the appreciation for being able to show their skills in front of their peers and not just their parents. And I think that's what makes high school basketball so special.
Right.
Is that your peers get to see you, your skill level, and rather than just your parents going on, AAU teams, and the loyalty for your school.
Yeah, and what's something that we can look forward to from North Central this season?
Intense pressure.
Yep.
Not going to give up and die. Don't count us out. Everybody underrates us.
Right.
We're going to be in it for the fight, and right now, with the, the last 3 years, so we upset. All right, 4 years ago, so my seniors, we upset number 1 Warren Central. Turn around, let our guard down, and let LN beat us. LN went on to the state championship game. All right, second year, again, we're up. We call it the powder gate because we were in the lead. LN was again ranked higher than us. LN was supposed to win. Meg Newman has powder on her hand. Somebody stepped on the powder. There was a 20-minute delay. We were up 8. That lead. There was a 20-minute delay. It changed the game. And then last year, one of my my starters turned her ankle. We had won sectionals. We're number 1 in the state. She sprained her ankle, and she couldn't play in regionals, and Brownsburg upset us. And so we're hungry. But our girls know that everybody comes out to play their hardest against us. So you got to be ready.
Yep, well, and that's good to hear. And thank you so much, Coach, for joining us tonight. And we will see you again on IndianaHighSchoolSports.net.
Turn your car into cash at the all-new Ray Skillman Northeast Kia on Shadeland. We'll buy your car no matter what make and model, even if you don't buy one from us. You'll get a check on the spot as fast as 30 minutes. It doesn't get easier than that. Do you need a vacation, want to go shopping, or just need some spending money? We need cars, and we have cash for you right now. So turn your car into cash at the all-new Ray Skillman Northeast Kia at 13th and Shadeland Avenue or RaySkillmanShadeland.com.
Try our easy-to-use Shop by Payment tool. You set what you want to spend, and our True Payments engine will find the best matches across our entire inventory. You can even add your trade-in. You'll get customized financing for every vehicle matching your budget. You'll be amazed at what you can buy. There is no impact on your credit and no obligation to buy. Shop by Payment.
So what all do you play?
Welcome back to the Indiana High School Sports Network. We are here for our girls preview show, and my name is Grace Worcester, and we are live here at Fat Dan's Deli in Carmel. And I would like to take a moment to thank our sponsors over at Weston Cleaners, Ray Skillman, Northeast Keon, Shadeland Avenue, and Dave Huber Certified Pre-Owned. And we are live right now with Coach Dan Wagner. And Coach, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you tonight?
I'm good, thank you. And Coach is from Chittard High School. And can you just talk a little bit about so far your start to the season? You just scrimmaged against University last week, and just your initial thoughts.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of seniors, and they're very talented. They were kind of overshadowed in the last few years. We had a couple D1 caliber kids who graduated last year. But these seniors, they've been playing together since grade school. And, CYO, North Deanery, grade schools, and then AAU ball and that type of thing. So we did scrimmage University. It was a little rough. Thought we had an agreement on how we were going to do fouls, and it turns out we didn't. And so there were no individual foul calls, and as a result, we were in double bonus all 4 quarters, and the referees kept coming over me and saying we could call twice as many or 3 times as many fouls that were being called. Anyway, so it was a little rough, right? and my girls, they responded well, but we're very senior heavy. But then we've got a really good junior class as well that's doing real well so far.
Yeah, and also this is your first year as head coach, and do you think that your first year as head coach will be more of a setback to the start of the season with being new, or do you think it'll be considered an advantage to be with the one with the freshest perspective?
That's a really good question. What we have found so far is we are employing a much different style of ball, so it's very up-tempo. And very fast, and we're going to be 84 feet on defense. We're going to be pushing the ball as fast as we can on the offensive end, and it really lends itself to our kids. We have a lot of multi-sport kids, kids that play soccer, kids that play volleyball, kids that run track. In fact, we've got 3 of the 4 tracksters who were part of the 7th. They finished 7th in the state in the 4x400, and so we're quick. We are fast. They're very athletic, and they're just good girls, and they have responded extremely well to this new style because the style was a little slower in years gone by, but everybody's all in, and so I think to answer your question, I think it's probably an advantage that we're kind of changing things up,
right?
And everybody's all in. There's a lot of excitement with the girls, and they've been a lot of fun so far.
Yeah, and you were talking about your 8 seniors, and they've been together since grade school. And so what do you think that advantage will do to help your team this season?
So the nice part is, we actually saw it today. We we scrimmaged ourselves today, and these kids know what each other's doing, but without even talking. All they do is look at each other, and you can see the communication that's going on, the way they pass the ball to each other in little bitty holes, because they've been doing it for years, right? And they know that this particular back cut's going to result in, Grace Adams getting me the ball if I'm Carly DeCastro, or, Izzy Davis is out there popping a three because everybody knows she can shoot the lights out. We got, Lily Muller, who's a great shooter, and Kate Caskey, another senior who this is a workhorse inside. And then we got this junior that's a absolute stud. Her name's Caroline Bell. Got a couple other juniors that are working their tail off between Anna Thompson and Grace Feltz, and we got another McGinley, Anna McGinley, who's she's about 6'1", and she can shoot the lights out from outside as well. And all these kids have played together, right? Yeah. And they're reading each other's mind as they're actually going through things and working out. And it's fun to watch them play. I forgot to mention Sarah Borland, who's a St. Luke kid, and again has played with them as well, and just doing a great job inside. So
yeah, and again, with this being your first year as head coach, what have you learned from the previous coach, Katie Fisher?
So Katie and I really haven't communicated. I helped her like 4 years ago, and we had a little bit of a handoff, but quite frankly, there was little to no communication, which was fine. I knew what Katie's style was, which was very appropriate, for the kids they had. But now we're doing a completely different style, So yeah, Katie and I really haven't communicated very much at all.
Yeah, and
I'd like to.
Right. Right.
I'm actually inviting her back. We're doing a big alumni recognition event the night of the Cathedral game, and we've had 170 kids who have played ball over at Chittard over 47 years, and we're bringing back as many of them as we can between games. So between the JV and varsity game, we're going to introduce them all, and we've got at least 5 coaches coming back. We've had 9 previous coaches, and hopefully Katie will come. That's what I'm saying. I'd like her to, for her to communicate. But I really want her to be there, because we got a lot of kids from her era that are going to be there, and it's going to be a really fun night to celebrate Chittard basketball. And the fact that we're doing it during the Cathedral game is not coincidental.
Right.
It's a big rival.
Yeah, and I'm sure you've also got a whiteboard somewhere. So what would be your top 3 goals for the season that you would write on a whiteboard for your team to see every time they go to practice?
Yeah, so, and we actually talk about this frequently. Every night when we finish practice, I ask the girls 2 questions. For question number 1, who had fun tonight? And if every hand doesn't go up, then I'm trying to find out what's going on.
Yeah.
And then question number 2 is, did we get better tonight? And if the answer to both of those questions is yes, we've had a good practice. And then another huge emphasis that we have is around our faith. We're right after I ask those questions, we have a prayer, and we pray before every game. We're a Catholic school, we can do that kind of thing. Yeah. But that's important to us, right? So where our kids wind up in eternity is pretty doggone important, and we place a very high value on that. So you being a Garen girl, you understand that.
Yeah, that's right. And
right?
Going along with that too, and that whole faith aspect as well, what is something that you would teach your team besides basketball and that you want them to take away after they're done being coached by you?
That's very cool. That's a great question. So one of the things that I talked about during the interview, and one of the things I've told the girls, is I want to try and help these kids get to heaven, and basketball is really a mechanism that we use for that. If they're having a good time, having the time of their life, because that's our objective, right? And we're going to be successful. We are going to win, right? That's going to happen. But that's not our emphasis, right? We are emphasizing the whole person, right? That's exactly the way that the values are at Chittard. So we're supporting every aspect of the mission over Chittard, which is, again, try to help these kids figure out their faith, right? Be faith-filled young women who are then ready to take on life. And we've had a pretty good track record of doing that at Chittard, and it's with every single sports program. We are part of the ministry program over at Chittard. That's what we fall under. All the sports do, and so that's a very important aspect of what we do over there.
Yeah, and going along with faith as well, what is something that you want this Trojan team to be known for?
We have talked about the fact that when the opposing team gets off the bus, until the time they get back on the bus, we want to be their worst nightmare. You know, we want to be in their face. We want to be, you know, we talk about 84 feet of misery that we're going to create for them. We want them when the game's all over. We want them to go home and cry to mommy. You know, that it has been such an experience, right? That we are playing with such intensity. We are playing with such aggressiveness. We are in their face so hard that they just want to leave, right? They just want to get away from us. So that's what we want to be known for. You know, we want to have that kind of reputation. You know, and you know, we play hard, very clean. You know, but hard, right? It's just going to be in your face. Like I said, from the time you step on the court until the time you leave.
Yep.
And that's what we want to be known for.
Yeah, and again with scaring off the other team.
Exactly.
What do you think will be your biggest advantage this season and something that you think you have above the other teams?
I think the fact that again, you know, we've got these 8 seniors, we've got these kids who have played together for so long. We've got kids that truly like each other. I don't have any issues associated with team chemistry. I don't have any issues associated with any drama, you know, that can go on, you know, sometimes and that type of thing. I mean, they genuinely like each other. They genuinely respect each other. They genuinely appreciate each other. And oh my gosh, it's an absolute pleasure to be working with these kids.
Yeah, no, and that's good to hear. And on the flip side of that, what is something that you think will be your biggest challenge this season?
Well, that's a great question. We are, although we have a couple bigs, you know, we're not as, you know, we don't have the 6'2" kid, we don't have the 6'3" kid, or, you know, anything like that in the middle. We're going to see teams that have those kind of bigs. We're going to try and overcome that by our aggressiveness. Kids heard it tonight, by blocking out. You know, every single possession. It's, you know, that's not a sometime thing. That's an all the time thing.
Right.
We better be able to, because if we're going to be able to get rebounds on the defensive end, we are going to have to be able to knock out, you know, these bigger girls that we see. That may be a challenge, but quite frankly, we're going to get it out and go, and it's going to be a very up-tempo pace. The kids like it. During that first week of practice, however, this is a whole new deal, and the running was such that by Thursday, the gym kind of looked like an infirmary. You know, we had people that were sitting there rubbing their legs, you know, and all kinds of stuff, and trying to find ice. And I mean, it's a new day. Yeah. But that's what you got to do when you want to play this kind of ball. The other thing is that we want to go deep. I keep telling the kids we want to go 12 deep. Because with this, you know, with the tempo we're going to play, we got to have a strong bench, and you know, we want those kids in there and contributing at a very high level. Give our starters a blow, right? Everybody's all in on, you know, the press and everything else we're going to be doing. So yeah, that's what I think is going to be our toughest aspect. Might be on the boards, but we're going to make up for it with the way we run the floor.
Right. And what can we expect with you guys these next upcoming games?
So we start off with Addicts, and I know a little bit about Addicts. I know that James Banks is there, and I got a lot of respect for him. Back when Janice was playing, she played against my daughter. I had a daughter who played at Chittard, and you know, Janice is a stud. James is a great guy. You know, he played pro football. So we'll be scouting Addicts and see what they look like. I don't know how many, you know, I don't know what they look like. So I will hold off on that. Then we'll find out real quickly what we're all about with Martinsville. We're going to host them then on that following Saturday. We'll have Addicts, I think, on a Wednesday, and then on Saturday we're going to be with Martinsville. And then we got Cathedral, and that's always a big game. It is we always play that game the night before Thanksgiving. It's the Wednesday night. We're going to have this alumni recognition event that's going to be going on. Where we're bringing back all these alumni and coaches, right? And so that's going to make it for a fun night. And actually, quite frankly, that game makes Thanksgiving either a fun day or a bad day. Yep. You know, depending upon how that game goes. But it's a huge rivalry. We'll probably have the biggest crowd we've ever had for a girls' game over Chittard that night. You know, in 48 years. So it's going to be a fun night. We're looking forward to that. So those are our first 3 games, and we'll know after those first 3 games. Right now, I don't think we're on anybody's radar as far as you know, state caliber or anything. We'll know after those first 3 games if we're going to start getting on people's radar.
It was good to hear, and thank you so much, Coach, for coming on tonight. And again, I would like to thank our sponsors over at Weston Cleaners, Ray Skillman Northeast Keon on Shadeland Avenue, and Dave Hubler Certified Pre-Owned. And thank you for joining us live here tonight at Fat Dan's Deli in Carmel. My name is Grace Worcester, and this has been the Indiana High School Sports.net.
Absolutely. I understand that you're